All right, this is going to be a different kind of video, very out of the ordinary for me. What I decided I'm going to do, I go on training trips with KCS to train companies how to use the RouteMan software. And so these are typically 2 to 3 day trips where I come on site to their offices and I train their entire staff. I train their drivers how to use Route Mobile. I train their staff how to use RouteMan Desktop and the different websites that we use to complement RouteMan. So I thought this would be kind of a day in the life of a RouteMan support trainer. Only it's going to be more than one day. It's going to be a couple different days. And so this is Wednesday morning. It's about 6:30. I'm here at the airport in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm flying today to Ridgecrest, California to train Mather Brothers Ice. And so Mather Brothers actually invested in our software and did some initial online training. I did some training with their drivers over Zoom, and they've operated with our software for a short time now, and they decided they wanted to go ahead and do a full on-site training. And so before the ice season picks up, they've asked for me to come out and go ahead and actually train their whole staff. So I'll be there Thursday and Friday. That'd be tomorrow and the next day, and then I'll fly back home on Saturday. I'm not sure how this video will be helpful, but I thought it would be an interesting look, something a little different, and maybe it'd be helpful for companies in the future who are trying to decide if they would like us to come on site and train or simply train via Zoom. I'll try to keep it interesting. Well, after a few hours of delays, I've made it to California, and on these trips, there's always something new. You never know what it's going to be. Today, I am standing outdoors waiting for my baggage claim. I've never seen it be completely outdoors before, but it's about 85 and sunny here, where it was 55 when I left Birmingham this morning. Alright, just made it to my hotel room. Today was a very long day of travel. Ended up having a bunch of delays during my flights, but finally made it here. There was some really bad weather, but ended up being fine once I landed. It was beautiful and sunny here in California. My total transit time ended up being about 15 hours, and I switched 2 time zones. And so I'm sure I'm going to feel it a little bit tomorrow. But right now, I'm just going to go try and find a good place to get something to eat for dinner. I like to try to go somewhere local, somewhere that's not a chain restaurant, if there are any good options. So one of the traditions that I have when I'm working with one of our companies is while I'm there, I'm looking for their product out in the wild. So any gas stations I drive by, I'm looking for an ice merchandiser out front, or any grocery store that I went in or anything like that. I'm looking to see, do I see their product out in the real world? And that's just something fun to try and get a picture of or a little video. So if I spot one of those and I'm able to grab a video, I'll throw that up here in this one. Another thing I often like to do is go ahead and drive by the place the night before if it's close to where I'm staying. So this one is. So I plan to do that. It's still plenty of daylight out. I don't know. It looks like it might be daylight for 3 or 4 more hours here because the land is so flat and it's just straight up sunny. But yeah, if I can see where I'm going ahead of time, I really like to try and do that and just kind of have a sense of what my day tomorrow is going to start out like. So when we come on site, one of the things we're able to do is by getting to know the team, getting to know the area, and really being able to embrace the company that we're working with. We can deliver better training and better customer service on an ongoing basis because we know the team, we know the people and their roles and their level of comfort with technology and all of that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to take a minute and tell you about an event that happened after the first day of training. I often will ask the people that live here locally what would be one thing that they would do, one tourist type thing, one thing that no visitors even know about, that kind of thing. What's something unique that I could do that would help me remember visiting Ridgecrest, California? And so the team here suggested going to see the Pinnacles. Well, I have no idea what that is. I know we're near Death Valley. I'm near the Mojave Desert. I expected something along those lines, and they said, go see the Pinnacles. And so when I just kind of said, well, what is it? They said it's just a natural area. It's part of the National Park Service around here, I guess. And it's just got some really cool rock formations. It happens to be the place where they filmed the Planet of the Apes. And it really does look like you're on a different planet. So I thought, that sounds cool. I'm going to do that today after training's over. Well, when training got over, I realized there were two different people that were from out of town. And I invited them. I'm going to go get something to eat. Did they want to go get something to eat together? And so after training, we left about 5:30 or 6 and came back to the hotel, got kind of freshened up a little bit, then went out to eat at a local restaurant. But it was probably about 8 by the time I brought them back to the hotel. And then I was going to go to the Pinnacles. Well, it was just starting to get a little bit dark, and I knew where I was going was outdoors, but I figured I got nothing else to do. Why not give it a shot? If it happens to be dark, I'm okay with that, and it's not that far away. It's about 20 miles away. Well, I didn't really pay attention to the fact that even though it was 20 miles away, it was about 40 or 45 minutes of a drive. That tells you you're probably going on some roads that are not the highway, right? So for at least a good bit of the drive. So I head out and I still have plenty of daylight. What I didn't realize is in this area, when the sun starts to set, it gets dark very quickly. And I think that's because there are mountains all around here. So when it starts to drop behind the mountain, it's pretty fast that the lights just turn out. So about the time I was turning off the main road onto a dirt road, it got to the point where it was pitch black. And I realized pretty quickly, I'm driving out in the middle of nowhere. There are no lights out here. There's no people. There's no buildings. It's going to be dark. There's probably not going to be much of a payoff as far as seeing these rocks and this landscape, but I'm adventurous. I'm just going to do it anyway. So I keep following the directions. I follow Google Maps directions through this dirt path in the middle of the desert in nowhere, California. And basically I'm following a path in the pitch black in a vehicle that's a rental, so it's not mine. I'm not very comfortable with it. Driving down a dirt road in the dark, really bumpy. The path veers off in different directions at different times, but I'm just following the blue line that Google Maps is telling me to follow. And so I'm okay. I just plug along, and it turned out that last 6 or 7 miles took me about probably 35 minutes to drive because I had to go that slow just to follow the directions. So I get out there, and I can tell it's pretty cool, but I can't see from inside my car. It's just too dark. There's no surrounding lights. I don't even see the moon. Hardly any stars are visible. That's one thing that was disappointing. They kept saying you could see the stars so well. But I think it was the dust in the air made it so hard to see that day. And so I thought, well, I'm going to get out in the dark and just have a look around and let my eyes adjust and just see how it goes and see if I can see anything. And I'm here anyways, why not try? So I did. And my phone was in the car, and I left the car running because I thought I'm just going to be out of the car for a few minutes, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea what's out here. I might have to run back and hop in the car if I run into an animal or a snake or something. I don't know. So I left the car running, left my phone in the car with the directions pulled up, didn't think a thing about it. I guess my rental vehicle, when the key fob walks away far enough, I don't think I went that far, it shuts off. So my car shuts off. I'm like, okay, well, it's okay. I'm looking around. I can't really see too much, but it did look like it would have been awful cool. And the pictures really do look cool online. So I get back in the car and start it back up, no problem. I'm sure you were thinking I had locked my keys in the car or I was going to have some kind of car trouble. No, I had no car trouble. The problem was my phone forgot where it was because it disconnected from the navigation on the vehicle. And so suddenly my GPS location isn't showing up on Google Maps. I have no idea how to get back. So this brings me to one of the habits that I try to maintain with traveling with this job is everywhere I go, I try to pre-mark in my Google Maps the location that I'm visiting, the hotel that I'm staying at, and if there was a particular site I wanted to visit ahead of time, I would go ahead and mark that in there. And then I also download the local area into my Google Maps just in case I ever lose cell service. Well, guess what? I totally forgot to do that this time. It would have paid off so much to have had that this time. So I have no options other than to get back in my vehicle and take a shot at it. And so I turn around and drive down the windy, twisty dirt path the best I can, and every so often I reach over and hit the refresh button, hoping my Google Maps will load up. But Google was not going to help me out. So I literally drove in the dark on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, just trying to remember where I turned. And fortunately, I only missed one turn and drove to a place that had some signs that made it very clear not to proceed, that this was controlled property and I was not welcome there. So I turned back around and fortunately was able to decipher which way to go and remember the turns that I needed to make. And even once I got out onto the main road, half an hour later, I still didn't have a GPS signal. So fortunately, I could just turn in the direction of all the lights that I saw from the city in the distance and drive towards it. And eventually I got a signal back once I was already close enough that I could remember how to get to my hotel. So for all the cool things that I end up getting to do on all these trips, you sometimes have some of these unexpected misadventures. But thankfully, everything worked out this time. All right, so 2 very long days of training. Training is pretty intense sometimes. In this case, I had 7 or 8 people for a good chunk of the day and dropped down to about 4 later in the day, but they're all looking at you and they're all asking you questions, and it's pretty focused. It's not super hard work. It's just kind of intense and engaging the whole day long. And so it kind of wears you out, but it's good to see a company making decisions that's going to help them in the long run. And it's fun and satisfying to see how our technology is going to help them improve their business, serve their customers better, and ultimately be more successful as a company. All right, so one of the things that I end up doing while I'm traveling on these client training trips, either on the way there or on the way home or both, I usually end up doing some work keeping track of some support tasks that are supporting other clients, or I can do some pre-training setup, or sometimes like today, I have some tasks that I promised the client that I would go back and do and set up for them. And so it's good to go ahead and get those things done before I'm able to forget or before they realize that it hasn't been done yet. And so while I'm waiting on a layover, I can go ahead and take care of those tasks that I promised to take care of. And it keeps my team from having to do them. And I can also check up on other emails and tasks that have to do with other clients so that when I get back in the office, I'm able to help whoever needs help at the moment. The two main goals with on-site training are really, number one, to help people in their current role to be proficient so that by the time I leave, they are able to operate out of RouteMan the next day, if that's what they would like to do. The second main objective is to be able to give a really good overview of all the different options, all the different features, even though many times companies will not be ready to take the steps to implement everything. We want them to be exposed to everything so that later in the future they could say, hey, I want to learn about that option, or I want to start using that feature later on. Well, thank you for taking this trip with me. I hope it's been insightful, maybe a little bit entertaining. And if you and your company are just getting RouteMan, hopefully it gives you a good idea of what it would be like to have me come on site and the benefit of it. And we really look forward to working with you and serving you.